great awliyaullah or great prophets and messengers or the best of all creation, they would be in this amazing awe feeling, and this emotion would overtake them. So I said to the brother that, you see, what you were wanting was the company of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. You got that, you had that, but now you're still not happy because you were wanting something different. You wanted an emotion, you wanted an experience, a feeling. That's what you were after. So if you were after a feeling, that feeling you can get in other places. But if you want the company of the prophets and messengers, ﷺ, then know this, that the experience that you get, the feeling that you get, will come and go. These feelings will always come and go. Those of you who are married, do you not know that one day you feel like you love your wife or husband, and the other day you feel like you don't like them? One day you feel bored, one day you feel happy. One day you feel excited, one day you feel not excited. So emotions and feelings are not reliable, and therefore when you're traveling on this spiritual journey, you shouldn't be expecting that I want to have a permanent emotion, a permanent feeling. Feelings are not your objective. Being in the company of the awliyaullah, the friends of Allah, that is a very great thing. This, what you're learning right now, is something that they would teach you in the spiritual world. That be the master of your emotions, don't let your emotions master you. So never fall in that trap that when you are traveling on these spiritual journeys, that, oh, this feeling, I don't have it. I don't have the feeling I thought I would have. Well, then that shows that you made the objective the wrong thing. The objective was never this awe feeling or feeling of ecstasy. That's not. But if you want to know where one of the most powerful ecstasies exists, I'll tell you. One of the most powerful, interesting, enjoyable experiences in all existence. It's not experienced in seeing anything. Never. And it is experienced in two things. One, crying in the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the other is crying in the love of Allah. That the experience in there is such a wonderful experience that the spirit is tasting, even the nafs tastes it. The spirit tastes it, the nafs tastes it. Outwardly, people think this person is crying, oh, he's crying, what's wrong with him? But he will tell you that the bliss tasted in there is more blissful than any physical enjoyment experienced in this world and anywhere that they can even think of. Even the spiritual world, going through there, there's more in the love of Allah and the crying in Allah's blessed remembrance and yearning to be with Him. So don't... See, this is one of the other important points about this topic in relation to what you're doing in this retreat. Why do we listen to Nasheed and Naat before we do the Durood Majlis? Does anyone know? Who can tell me? Who can tell me? Yes, brother. Yes, mashallah, that's correct as well. To help you remember the Holy Prophet ﷺ to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's one. Any others? Which emotion? Yes, so it's to help you enter an emotional state. If you enter the emotional state that is desired in that type of scenario, the Durood Majlis and Salam, then you can actually benefit much, much more. So when what state do you want to enter? What experience, what feeling do you want to overpower you then? In the Durood and Salam Majlis. Which one? Love. Okay, any others? Tell me something other than love. I mentioned one. Let's say that you have the best friend that you've ever met, but 10 years ago you saw them, and now you're going to meet them again. You're going to meet them tomorrow, and all day and night you've been looking forward to it, looking forward to it, looking forward to it. What is this feeling? You're excited, that's correct, but there's something else. Starts with a Y. Yearning, yes, correct. You're yearning. So you're yearning to meet the person so much. And this is one of the objectives of playing the Naat and the Nasheed, that you hear these most wonderful words about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the crown of existence, the master of existence, the most beautiful of creation, the most compassionate human being ever. He loves you more than you love yourself. He would sacrifice his life for you. Does that not make you want to see him, want to be with him? Does that not make you yearn for him? So those words, if you pay attention and think about it deeply, it makes you yearn for him. So this is entering an emotional state. When you learn how to enter an emotional state, then the benefits that come from that then come. I'll give you another example. We've not even started the presentation. Another example is, so many times people feel sad. This happens and people don't know why they feel sad. They answer me this question. For your emotion to be triggered, for you to one day feel happy, one day feel sad, one day feel ecstasy, or one day feel excited, does something always have to trigger it? Or can it happen just suddenly? Put your hands up if you think it always needs a trigger. And put your hand up if you think it can just suddenly happen. Majority think that's right. So you're saying this from experience. You know, I don't need me to tell you. It can just happen. So why is it that human beings experience different emotions just suddenly, just like that? It just changes. In the same day, you can feel the most happiest you've ever felt, and in that same day, you can feel the most saddest that you've ever felt. The same day. Let me tell you one of the reasons. One of the reasons is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you this emotion. He's giving you this emotion, this temporary feeling that you're experiencing for a reason. He wants you to react to that emotion so that you can benefit from it. So I'll give you an easy example because there are about 30 different emotions and there isn't time to go through them all. One of them is sadness. Sometimes people feel sad, but there's no particular reason, nothing's triggered their sadness. But what is it Allah wants from you when you feel that sadness? Can anyone tell me? One of them is this, that if you're feeling sad, Allah Azza wa Jal wants you. Now, imagine I'm in the emotional state of sadness. Let me help you enter that state. Just think about a person that you miss from a long, long time. You've not seen them. It's been years, decades, maybe a relationship that you had that you no longer have, and you wish that you could have that again. And you're wanting to be with them. So that emotion of this sadness, this longing feeling to be with them, this feeling now, all you have to do is direct it to Allah. That, oh Allah, now you speak the words to Allah, that, oh Allah, you are the most beautiful of all. You are the creator of beauty. You are the one to be missed. You are the one who created me. You gave me everything I have. I've never seen you. I've never spoke to you. How long must I wait till I meet you? Now, what are you doing? The emotion that you're feeling being sad because of someone else, because you're in that state, you're redirecting it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the tears can begin to flow. The tears are not necessary, but the tears of the heart are necessary. The tears of yearning for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begin. And then a person enters. So then you benefit more. Then from the spiritual experience, it just happens naturally. It will happen automatically then. And the durud and salam majlis, you would have entered the state correctly and you will benefit much, much more. And the example of this is the person who has a cup. Imagine it's raining upon us and your cup is upside down. It's this way, it's facing down. All you're doing is turning it the right way around. That's the example of the person who enters the correct emotional state. They're now receiving all of the mercy that Allah is showering upon you. But the one who's upside down, their heart's upside down, they're not receiving anything. So this is the reason for this particular topic, inshallah. So now I want to go into a few things, and I want to give you 7 solutions at the end. If you can manage your emotions in this world, then I can tell you this, I can almost guarantee that you will live a happy life. Because imagine the bank balance. The bank balance for some people is 0, and they are going through so much emotion in relation to their money. They are struggling. But now there's another person who has a bank balance, a very, very large bank balance, but they don't know what to do with their money, and they're still not happy. They're still going through emotions. So many people who were not wealthy become wealthy. They say that money doesn't make us happy. They say that, but the one who doesn't have money is working so hard for money. So, and the answer, the happiness lied in being content with what they had. So what does that tell you? The happiness lied with managing your emotions. So we'll come to this, inshallah. So now if you look at the diagrams, there's 3 options that can happen. 3 options. This first option shows that an emotion, it comes in, it enters you, it possesses you. I want you to think about an emotion, let's say an emotion of surprise, the emotion of surprise. So the door has opened, you've entered the house, and the lights were off, the lights turn on, and the whole family is there, and they say surprise, it's a birthday party, or anniversary, or welcome back, whatever it is. They surprise you, your whole family surprises you. Maybe on Eid day when you go back after itikaf, your first itikaf, your family surprise you with some gift. So you are suddenly surprised. Can you stop the emotion of surprise entering you? Can you? No, you can't. Can you stop when your wife or husband gives you a gift and you feel emotionally happy towards them? Can you stop that emotion entering you? When someone passes away and you hear the news, can you stop the emotion of sadness entering you? You can't stop it. It enters without your permission. So the first thing to know is the emotions, they enter you without your permission. They will come in, you are an open door. But what you need to be able to do is realize this emotion is coming, it's not coming. Now, what happens with many people is the emotion is stuck in them. They keep it in them, it becomes stuck energy. Another word for them is like energy, they become stuck inside you. But what is the natural law of everything? The natural law. You tell me, I'll show you this and then we'll come back to this. Everything in the universe, everything, almost everything in creation is constantly moving. The water, the flowing water is pure, but the still water becomes filthy. But the flowing water, the rivers, you can, even animal do answer the call of nature there, you can still use it, it's flowing water, it's moving. But still water, if the filth enters, depending on the size, it becomes filthy. But flowing, moving water is clean. Similarly, the universe, the sun is moving, the moon is moving, the earth is moving, everything is moving. The wind is constantly moving, the clouds are moving, the day and the night are constantly moving. And even your body, your heart is constantly beating. Your brain and the blood is constantly flowing. Your oxygen in and out, carbon dioxide constantly moving. Even to the point your atoms and inside your atoms are also moving. So what does this tell you? So you tell me, what does that tell you about emotions? What does it tell you? What should they also be doing? They should also be moving. They should also be moving. They shouldn't stay still. So should this be happening, should this ever an emotion stuck inside you? No. I'll give you the example. If I see someone's car and I like it and I don't want them to have it, I want it. What's that called? Tanim? Jealousy. That's the emotion of jealousy you've just experienced. I want that car, I don't want him to have it. So jealousy is when you want something someone else has and you don't want them to have it. Wanting what they have is fine, but wanting them not to have it is not fine. That part makes it jealousy. If I keep that emotion in me, let it stay stuck inside me, what does it turn into? Not poison, not just yet. Right now it's just an emotion. What's it going to turn into? A hands up? Not hunger. It's an emotion. I'll give you a clue. Emotion is temporary. It's just temporary. What's the opposite of temporary? Permanent. So a permanent emotion of jealousy is a quality. Qualities are permanent. And in this path we call them stations. They are stations. States and stations. So the emotion of jealousy is not sinful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not hold you to account for feeling jealous just of that person. But He will hold you to account for three things. If you act upon it with the body, for example, scratch the car. If you act upon it with the mind, how do you act upon it with the mind? Curse them with the mind, think about it, plan the scratch of the car when it's nighttime, no one looking, the camera is not there. The third one, what of the heart? What does the heart allow? It allows it to stay there. So I give you the example, if you're angry, think about holding the anger in. You can hold anger in, can't you? You've all done it. Similarly, emotion of jealousy, you can hold it in. You can stop it from growing. So you can do that. When you practice it, it's an internal thing. You can stop it from growing. So if you do these three things, if you manifest it with the body, the person becomes sinful of that. You've manifested jealousy. If you do it with the mind, entertaining the thought, then you've got jealousy. And if you allow it to live in you with the heart, you have jealousy. But if you fight it on all three levels, you can have your emotion of jealousy could be very, very high. If you're fighting it with the body, with the mind, with the heart, you don't have jealousy. You're not sinful. The Holy Prophet ﷺ mentioned in a hadith that a person with an atom's weight of arrogance will not enter paradise. Atom's weight. Atom is so small you cannot see it. Is that not worrying? Are you not worried? Maybe I have an atom's weight of arrogance. That's the bad news. The good news is the emotion of arrogance that comes in. Arrogance is where you think you're better than others. That emotion, that feeling can come, I think I'm better. But what do you need to do for it not to be held accountable? What's the three things? Brother, you tell me one. Yes. You can say astaghfirullah, but these three levels, what was the first level? So don't manifest it with someone else, help. Your body. How do you not manifest arrogance with the body? Well, scratching the car is the example of jealousy. If you think you're better than someone, what might you do? You might say with the tongue, what might you say? You backbite them. You can only backbite someone if you think you're better than them. If you think this person's a king, I'm not a king, how can you backbite the king? So if you backbite them, that shows that you have arrogance against them. What's then with the mind? What would you be thinking with the mind? You'll be entertaining it. Oh yes, I'm better than him, he's not better. I have this, he doesn't have that. So that's entertaining with the mind. And the third one, what do you do with the heart? Will you allow the arrogance to stay inside you? Or will you fight it? If it stays inside you, you have it. But if you fight it, then it doesn't. So these three things, that hadith mentions a person with an atom's weight of arrogance will not enter paradise. But the one with the emotion of arrogance, the state of arrogance, is only got the state. But to have arrogance, to be classed as having arrogance, is when you manifest it with your body by saying something, or with your mind by entertaining the thought, or with your heart by allowing it to stay inside you. So if that emotion stays inside you, then and you allow it to live, you embrace it, you accept it, then you become arrogant. Then the person is liable for it. So the natural way is that it should pass out of you. Like food goes in and food comes out, everything goes in, everything goes out. Do you know how often your blood is replenished? Every 120 days or so, something like this, your entire blood in your body is refreshed completely. A new set of blood, and the old blood is removed every 120 days. So what to say about emotion? Some people have grudge from 10 years ago. How much harm do you think that is doing? If blood was inside of us for 10 years, the same blood, it would cause cancer and all sorts of disease. what to say about a grudge from 10 years ago. So name some emotions to me. Tell me a few. These are emotions and qualities. Just tell me a few others. Anger. Okay, good. Any more? Let me see a few hands. Fear. Very good. Yes. Brother. Hatred. Yeah. Joy. Very good. Two more. Jealousy. Sorry? Lust. Okay, very good. So we have a few. Anger, fear, sadness, joy, trust, anxiety. All of them. So mashallah. So I mentioned everything in the universe is moving. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us this here, that behold, in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of night and day, there are indeed signs for men of understanding. Allah mentions to you the sign. The lesson is for you to take. And so I've given you a lesson today. This is another example. Oxygen is constantly moving in. Carbon dioxide is coming out. You're constantly breathing in and out. The emotion must never stay stuck inside. So this was the first option, which is the unnatural, harmful option, where your emotion is stuck inside you. The natural way, and by natural I'm going to say like a baby with no past programming, I'll explain what that means. The emotion comes in and it exits. It's in and it's out. The feeling of love comes, feeling of love goes. Or the emotion of happiness comes, the emotion of happiness goes. Sadness comes, sadness goes. There is a way to process your emotions to allow them to leave. And this is the natural way. This is the natural way. But what is the third way? Because the third way is the one which affects us all. And that I'm going to show you soon. But to know that, to understand that, we need to know the difference between emotions and feelings. So who can tell me, hands up, what is the difference between emotions and feelings? It's an English word. These are English words. You all speak English, inshallah, brother.
Emotion a bit less than feelings. Emotion like temporary, feelings like more desire.
Okay, so kind of close. When you said that emotions are like a lower level than your feelings, in one sense, yes. So that's kind of right. So that's good. Good try. MashaAllah. Yes, brother.
The emotions can come and go, but your feelings can stay and it can manifest and become something bigger.
That's also partly correct as well, because the part which you mentioned about the thing which stays in you is not the emotion. It turns into a feeling and the feeling stays. So that's also good. So there's a difference there. Anything else? Yes, brother at the back.
Emotion is actually an idea, a thought, a certain thing, but the feelings, how we react as per this idea, as per this thought.
Okay. Were you in the last retreat? No? Very good. So that's more close, mashallah. I'll explain that now. So very good. So think about this question. Can you force yourself to always be happy? If I asked you, I want you to constantly, for the rest of your life, 24 hours a day, every single second, be happy. Can you do that? Can you? No. It's impossible. Very, very difficult task. If I imagine even harder, I want you to stay excited every single second of your entire life. Can you do that? No. So then why do people find it hard to understand that you cannot be constantly immersed in an emotional state of love of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, or of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You won't be in this emotional state constantly. Allah does not even expect that from you. This is why the state of love and the station of love are two very different things. The state of love is this affection that you feel. Oh, I love this person very much. I feel so much inclined towards them. When I'm with them, all my worries go. This type of thing. But the station of love is something different. The station of love is something you can do. Something you can do. And that is that you sacrifice your desire, your wish for the one that you love. That is love. So that is love. Love isn't the feeling, not the noun, the name of love, the verb, the doing word of love. So Allah does not want that from you. So many of you say to us that, I don't think I loved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I don't think we love. But you're referring to the state of love. But you are doing the station of love. You are here, you are practicing, obeying Allah, abstaining from sins. You have a sign of the station of love. So that's a side point. You can never be permanently in one emotion always. They are outside of your control. Everything outside of your control is a what? Starts with a T. Everything outside of your control is a test for you. So that's another topic we're not going into, but it's related to fate. Everything outside of your control is a test. Or that means all your emotions are test. And every human being is emotional. So what are emotions then? This is what they are in simple form. They are just a form of raw energy. It possesses you. An energy that possesses you. Even the scientists, they don't believe in spirit, some of them. So they say it's their brain is taken over by some chemicals. Because that's what they see scientifically. So when a person is emotional, they are possessed by it. So I want you to imagine now that here is the emotion, spiritually like a light. That emotion is going to possess me and is going to take over. So that's how I want you to start thinking. If you think like this, you will begin to realize you can control that emotion and not let the emotion control you. So just think of it like this, and these are all examples. There's the state of anger, fear, love, trust, joy, and so on, the others. But what are feelings? So what are feelings? Well, who can tell me now? If emotions is just this energy that just comes suddenly, something happens, and this emotion just enters me. What is feeling then? That I feel this energy is inside me, I'm possessed. What is the feeling? Anyone have a go? Another brother mentioned something like it before. No? Then I'll tell you. Inshallah. Sorry? I'll tell you now, inshallah. It's refined emotions. Refined emotions. So what does refined emotions means? Look at this example. Raw gold. There's raw gold. Raw gold from the earth or other metals, copper, zinc, aluminium, all these raw material from the earth. Many of them, we can't use them in their form. Other materials from the earth, they cannot be used until they are refined and they're turned into something. They can't be used. Once they're turned into something, like a gold brick like this, like coins, metals, swords, armor, they can be used. So feelings are just the emotions, but converted into a usable form. Now, what is it that converts it into a usable form? What is that? That is your past programming. Your past programming. So now let me give you the example that I mentioned before. Again, this one makes it easy to understand. Imagine you're at home and you're coming and you're entering your house. The lights are off and the family are in there, the friends and everyone, and they turn the lights off and they say surprise. Suddenly you're surprised. And after the surprise, immediately after the surprise, you feel so happy. Oh, thank you, you really appreciate me, you remembered me, I love you, and so on. Immediately after, you feel very happy and joyous. So your surprise has turned into what? What has it turned into? What emotion has it turned into? Joy. So your past programming has turned your feeling, your emotion of surprise into joy and happiness. Now let me give you the other example for this to make sense. Someone else, exact same thing happens, and they enter the house. Everyone says surprise, birthday cake, whichever, and the person says, "Don't you know I hate surprises?" Slams everything on the floor and says, "Get out of my house, get out. I hate surprises. Never surprise me. You give me a heart attack. All of you leave." Now, the strange thing is that some people react like this. But why is that? The question is why? They were both surprised. Both had the emotion of surprise. One becomes happy and joyous. The other becomes angry and tells them off and tells them to leave. Why? Because of past programming. In the first person's experience, their past, when they've been surprised in the past, something good happened from it. Something good, for example, they were surprised with gifts, they were surprised with good things, they were surprised with joyous occasions. But the other person, the second one, they were surprised with bad news. They were surprised with a big bill, a very big bill, or a court case in the post, when they look at the letter and open the letter, that feeling comes back again, that emotion comes back. I might be surprised with terrible news again. So their past programming, every time they look at an envelope, they think that emotion comes back and reminds them, what if it's another court case? What if it's another big bill? So they open it and they're relieved, oh no, it isn't. So your past programming is what turns your emotion into the feeling that you manifest. So what you manifest is the feeling, You don't manifest your emotion, you manifest the feeling. Does this make sense? You manifest the feeling. So imagine you're a filter. Here's the emotion comes in, you filter it, and what comes out of the filter is good or bad. It's good if your past programming is good, it's bad if your past programming is bad. So what question should you be asking me now? Hands up, let me see. Yes, brother.
How can we reprogram it?
Exactly. That's the question to ask. All this other stuff about emotions, feelings, just imagine, remember this. Emotion comes in, your past programming changes the emotion to a bad or a good feeling, and that's what you manifest to people. Like the person who's very happy, thank you everyone, or the one who's sad, get out. So the question is, how do I change my past programming? And that is what I'm going to give you today, inshallah. 7 different ways of doing this. 7. So this is the example. This is the third option that you now understand. The feeling, so the emotion comes in, and the emotion, not just the emotion leaves, the feeling leaves as well. So by leaving, I'll tell you what that means when we learn the 7 methods. So the feeling can be good or bad, depends on your past programming. So if your husband or wife gives you a gift, we teach this in the marriage course, if the husband-wife gives you a gift of, let's say, a chocolate, box of chocolates and flowers and so on, one person thinks, what's behind this? What does she want? What does he want? There's something in there. What is it? What are you up to? But the other person thinks, oh, this is very nice, thank you very much, Jazakallah. I'm going to give you something better. So why is that other person is thinking this way? Oh, she must be up to something, or he must be after something. She's going to ask for something next. Why is that? Because of their past programming relationship. But you can change it. The first step to changing it is to realize it. When the plumber goes in the house trying to fix the leak, what does he first look for? He looks for the leak. He looks for the leak. So now you realize that there is past programming in you, only then can you try and fix it. So, how can we change the past programming and react positively to these emotions? I'm going to give you the first solution now, inshallah. First one is a principle. Very, very, very important principle. There's 4 steps, or 3 main steps. The first step is realization. That recognize which emotion has possessed you. Well, there's 30 different emotions, but you've only told me a few. Can anyone tell me a few more? Because if you don't know all 30, how will you know what you're possessed by? So this is why knowledge is also important. Know what other emotions are out there. So when you're possessed by them, you know who's possessing you. Many people say, oh, nazar, someone's done nazar on me. Well, there's 30 different nazars possessing you every single day, but no one's asking about these. So master this first before the other one. Most people don't have jinn problems, but everyone has this problem. Everyone. So recognize which emotion has possessed you. The second one is you stop. Stop there and think about each possible reaction. I'm going to give you one now. One of the most common emotions. A very dangerous one. Incredibly dangerous. And I want you to tell me the right reaction, these 3 doors. And that one is one that will affect you in your spiritual journey. It is one that will affect you in your zikr, your daily amal, in your prayer, even in your husband-wife relationship, and even in your relationship with Allah and His Messenger. And that is boredom. So the emotion of boredom. The nafs becomes bored. The nafs becomes bored. Sometimes you're doing zikr, and then you take your phone out, like this, and you start looking through Facebook and other things, this is a sign that the nafs is bored. So the question is this: what's the first step the person should do? What is the first step the person needs to realize? You're in the middle of the zikr majlis. You're feeling bored. You take the phone out. You want to look at the messages. What's the first thing you should consciously do? Go on, Uncle. Well, it says it on the board. It says it there. What is the first step? Realization. What do you need to realize? That you're bored. Exactly. The first thing you need to realize is, I am in the emotion of boredom. I have this state in me right now. What is the second thing? What is the second thing? It says it there. You need to now stop and think, okay, my nafs is bored. I feel this emotion of boredom. There are 3 reactions or 10 reactions, however many. Then you have to do this. This is your willpower at work. Logical choice. The end that is the best reaction, that is the most ethical and within Sharia, you need to choose that one. So let me give you the example of being bored in the zikr majlis. Is the right reaction to start looking at Facebook and other messages? No. Is the right reaction to just sit there and look around at everyone else? No. Or is the right reaction to tell the nafs that, nafs, you're bored, I don't care what you think. I am worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to worship Him whether you like it or not. That's the right reaction. So next time you're bored, now you know the right reaction. You challenge yourself. You say to your emotion, your nafs inside you, don't listen to you. Your emotions, you might be stronger than logic, but Allah has given me strength over you, over the emotion. You can possess me, but I am stronger than you. Otherwise, otherwise that person is called insane. The one who the emotion overtakes the brain, that person is insane. Sharia is not incumbent upon them. But you are stronger than your emotion. So you stop, you are patient and think of the different reactions. You realize what emotion you're in, and then you decide which is the best. But you have to know which is the best. If you don't know, how will you? So next time you're on the phone in the zikr majlis, know that you've chosen the wrong reaction. That zikr majlis may not benefit you anymore. So inshallah, that's just one example. That's the first one. Now the thing with this is so special. These 3 steps apply to every single emotion. They are principles. Every single one out there, they apply to them. But the answer for each emotion is different. So if I said to you, you're in the emotion of love, you have to realize that you feel love. You have to stop and think about the reactions of love, and then logically choose. I'll give you an example. You've got a bonus from work, big bonus. You can take husband, wife, children on holiday. You're in an emotional state. I'm so happy, I've got this big bonus. You come home and tell the missus tells the husband that I've got this big bonus. I'm going to take you on holiday. We're going to spend it all. We're going to go on holiday. Now, is that the logical choice they've made there, or an emotional choice? They made an emotional choice. When their spouse says, yes, well, let's go, we'll go to Dubai, very expensive, we'll go there. Then an hour later you're thinking, oh, no, we don't have enough now. So then it's too late now. So this is why realize first that you are in an emotional state of excitement. I've won something, I'm excited. But then you have to stop and think. Stop and think of the different reactions. If you go home, tell your partner straight away, then that might be the wrong reaction, because now you might not go back on your word. Or should you stop and think, okay, let's look at how much we can afford. I'll assign 10% for holiday, 10% for this, 10% for that, or whichever. That's more logical. Then you can go and say, we've got this, we can spend this much. So this applies in every aspect of life. And it applies in your spiritual journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. Someone apply that to this spiritual journey for me. Let me see who can do that. Let's say that you are doing your ascension like you did before. You're going through the lataif. You're going through the lataif. And we've done boredom, so we won't do boredom. You feel... Tell me a feeling that you felt during the lataif, someone. Anyone.
Desperation.
Desperation, very good. So you feel desperation, you're desperate, I want to transfer, I want to transfer, I want to transfer. So what's the first thing you need to do? It says it on the board. You need to realize that you feel desperate. If you don't realize that you are desperate, then you're not going to have the right reaction. The person who does not know he's in a war, is he ever going to win the war? Never is the answer, never. If you don't know you're in a war, you will definitely lose. But the one who knows they're in a war, they have a chance. They have a chance. So now you're desperate, I want to transfer, I'm desperate to transfer. Now what, you realize that you're doing that, so you stop and think, okay, what are the different reactions? One reaction is, oh, I'm going to speed through the lataif, and before the leader even does it, I'm going to get through there, I'm going to go. Okay, that might be one. If this is your first time, you might not be able to do that. But if you've done it 100 times, you might be able to do that. Is that the right reaction? Speeding, rushing, never. Rushing generally is never the right reaction. So what might be the right reaction then? What do you think, Tanim, since you said desperation?
To put even more effort into each step to make sure that you don't make any mistakes or fall short, having shortcomings, so then hopefully you get where you need to get.
So that's correct, but that's also correct, mashallah. But think of the person who's desperate. I'm sat here, but I want what's at that door. What's at that door is what I want. So what do I do in this journey? How do I travel the journey from this door, from this table to the door? As fast as possible. There's a wire there. What's likely to happen? I'm going to trip up. So the journey, the answer is two things. You take the journey calmly, but the second is that you enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. You don't wait. Don't be desperate for the end. The one who's desperate wants the end now. That's what they want. I need that now. I want it now. I'm desperate. I need it now. The one, they need to start to say to themselves, I'm going to enjoy the process. And that's what many people in the business world also say. Don't be desperate to be successful. Enjoy the process of being successful. Just enjoy the process. Then they become successful. Those who are doing degrees and courses, don't wait to get your certificate. Don't be desperate. Enjoy the process of getting it. Just enjoy the process. Those of you desperate to get married, don't be, I want the prize of marriage. Because the next thing you're going to do is, I want the child. Oh, I've got the child now. I want more children. Oh, I've got more children now. You're desperate to get them big houses and things. If you are always desperate, you will always be desperate. So you need to enjoy the process. So do you see that in every single emotion there are reactions, and we don't have the time to go through them all now. In a 2-day workshop maybe, but not in this, inshallah. So this is a principle. These 3 things are principles. And you can go away, look at the different emotions out there, and apply them into this. And apply them in your spiritual journey. They apply. The next one is something for you to do. So, I am going to come back to this one, inshallah, and we're going to do the third one first. Yeah, so we'll do the third one first. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to think of a time when you were really, 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 really angry. The most you've ever been. The most angry you've ever been. So just take 30 seconds and think about that. Generally, the first one that comes to your mind is the one that we're going to use. You've all found it? Now what I want you to do is, in a minute, you're going to find a partner. You're going to stand up in the room somewhere with your partner, and I want you to speak to your partner, the person that you're with, as though you're telling them, as though they are the person that you're angry with. They are that person. No swear words, nothing like that. So you're going to speak to that person as though they were the person, the source of the anger, and you're going to tell them why you were angry. So you're going to tell them that. Once you've done that, the next step is this one. But I will stop you and you will sit down before we do this next one. But the next one that you're going to do is this. That the next time, this time, you are going to be in the mind of the other person. the person that made you very angry, you're going to be in their mind. And you're going to be speaking back to yourself as though you are them. From their point of view, why they were angry or how they felt. So first, you're with your partner speaking as yourself, going back to that time. Then your partner gets to do theirs, so you swap 2 minutes each. Then we're all going to sit down, maybe ask you how it went. Then we're going to stand back up, and you're going to be the other person, the source of your anger. You're going to be them, and they're going to be speaking from your tongue back to you. So if it's your wife, for example, you are your wife, and you're speaking to yourself. Does this make sense? Yes? Yes. So let's do the first one. Put your hands up if this makes sense. Okay, so that's good. But we're going to do the first one only. So ignore that next one. In a second, I'm going to say go, and then find a partner, anyone, preferably maybe someone that you've never done this with before, that you don't know. Because then you can say anything, you're never going to maybe meet this person again. You never know, they might become the best friend, your best friend now. So when you share things like this, you become very friendly with people. So speak to them as though they are the source of anger, why you were angry, and say what you needed to say. 2 minutes. Off you go, find your partner. I will say start and the 2 minutes begins. Okay, stand up. Find someone. Find a partner. Yeah. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone found a partner? Okay, 2 minutes for person A begins, and then 2 minutes for person B will swap over. Okay, person A begin. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stay where you are. So now you're going to swap over. The mistake some people are making is you're explaining it. You need to say it as though you're saying it to the person that you were angry. So you're saying it, you did this to me and you did that to me. Say it like that, okay? So with some emotion, with some animation, okay? Off you go. 2 minutes for the next person. Okay, Bismillah. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So if everyone sits down where you are. So some, mashallah, most have done it correctly. You've said what you were angry at to the person, but some have done it slightly wrong here and there, but that's fine. It's a good try, mashallah. So now what you need to do, so what you did there, you were acting out yourself. You were being yourself, speaking to the one that you're angry at. If it's a friend, let's say I'm angry at my friend, I was saying the things I felt angry about to my friend. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to pretend that I am my friend. So if I was, let's say this is, if I can take this out, let's say this is me. I'm angry, you did this to me, you did this to me. Does anybody want me to, because you're all acting, do you want me to act it out?
Yes.
Brother Wasim, can I have the, where is he? The other mic, please. So that, inshallah, then you will understand. I didn't want to have to do this, but I'll have to do it.
Just pretend. He really wants to show his acting.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So what we did there was this. So I'm going to act now, but I just want you to listen. Don't get scared, okay? Okay. Oh, why are you following me around everywhere, please? Oh, I said I'm busy. Can you just leave me alone for once? God, I'm going to sleep in here today. I'm just going to get on with my work. What do you want now? I've said that we don't need to talk every single time. What is this? Eventually, I'm going to have to leave or go somewhere else. Can I just leave me alone? Just let me do my work. You know what? I can't do any work. I'm going crazy here. I'm just going to leave. All right, you know what? I've had enough. I've had enough. Okay. So, come back. Okay. So, that was what you were meant to do. Okay. Now I'm going to be the other person. Okay, and then inshallah we'll see. So the other person starts here. Honey, I just need a little bit of time from you, please. No, honestly, why do you keep running away from me all the time? You know, I'm heavily pregnant. I've come all the way from this other town, and you're the only person I have. I just want to talk to someone. Why do you keep running away from me for? I don't know what I'm going through. My body's going through something. My emotions all over the place. But you just keep leaving and doing your work. Can you just listen to me? I'm all alone. Come on, please. I'm all alone. I only have you. Oh. And then the person is really alone. So Bismillah. So what do you learn from after Alhamdulillah? Maybe it wasn't a true story. So no, the thing to know is this couple, when the husband saw the incident from the wife's perspective, that's my time up. When the husband saw the incident from the wife's perspective, then he realized what she was going through. Because she was all alone, she was away from family, she was going through something, first pregnancy, doesn't know what's happening, she just wants to talk. Maybe he felt she's nagging him everywhere he goes because he's doing everything that she wants him to, but that he saw it as nagging, she saw it as you're leaving me alone, and then she really did feel alone. So once he saw it from her perspective, then, and many years later, then he apologized for that. And that was something that was affecting them for many years. So imagine that's all it took, was to see the same situation from someone else's perspective, the other person's perspective, and the whole negative emotion disappeared. All that negative feeling they had towards each other just went just like that. And that was just because of seeing it from their perspective. So what you're going to do now is that part. You have to be the person you were angry with, and speak to yourself or to your partner as though you are that person, then start seeing it from their perspective. Don't say your perspective, say their perspective, and say it like this: you did this to me. When you say you, you're referring to yourself. I'm Usman, so when I say you, I'm saying Usman. I'm not saying me. Now you are the other person. Make sense? Can I make it any more clearer? No. Okay, then off you go. 2 minutes. One person for 2 minutes, and then we'll swap for the other one. Okay, swap over, next person. Swap over, next person. Okay, Bismillah. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, inshallah, you can sit down. Jazakallah. Interesting session, mashallah. Jazakallah. So anyone want to say how they felt after doing that? I know someone was acting as a police officer. Sounded interesting. Yeah. Anybody, any feedback on what you experienced or how you felt? Especially after being the other person that you were angry at. Otherwise, I choose someone. Yes, brother.
So when I, obviously, our incident was, I scratched, I said to him, you scratched my car, why have you done this? I've seen you on my CCTV, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So when we did it the other way around, and he was asking me the same question, I was a bit more, I felt what he So I felt the same way that he probably did feel as well.
Very good. So, mashallah. So, were you accusing someone, but you weren't 100% sure it was him?
I was accusing him, but I wasn't 100% sure
Yeah.
that it was him.
Yeah. So that's good. Now you can see how he felt. That he felt accused of something he's not done, uncomfortable feeling, and so on. So, does it help to realize?
Definitely, because when he was saying the same questions to me, I did probably feel what he felt, even though it wasn't real. But
Yeah.
I did kind of go with his head and feel the same thing that he probably did.
That's the good thing about acting is it does allow you to feel something for a short while. So, mashallah, very good. Anyone else? Two more people, and that's it. Inshallah, we move on. 7 solutions. You've seen 2. One more, Tanim, and brother Mushahid. How did you two do?
The brother, mashallah, Allah bless him, he's gone up to Arrogance. I think similar in terms of what the brother shared is when you're acting out your anger, you feel a particular way, but when that's reversed, suddenly you're feeling the brunt of the anger, and then you start thinking of all the excuses and all the possible things that could be the reasons why, and there's a shift in terms of how you feel.
Mashallah. So that's a very good word. That there is a shift. There's a big shift that takes place, and the only thing that moves negative energy and feelings out is positive feelings, and we will see that again shortly. So now I did the third one there. So this is what I'm going to show you now is the third solution. Very, very, very important. So I'll just act a little bit. No one else needs to do any acting. So here's a husband and wife. It could be anyone. Okay. So one of them is stood up. One of them is sat down. So I'll use this. Inshallah. And the first thing to know is that there are emotions. And what's the other thing of emotions? It's not emotion. There's emotion and not feelings. Starts with the L. Logic. So are emotions logical? No, they're not. But they are stronger by about 25 times. The emotional brain is 25 times stronger than the logical brain. So when you're having a disagreement with someone, you need to see, are they emotional or are they being logical? So let's have a look. So say husband sat down and wife stood up. But the husband in this example will say he's the emotional one. Okay? So let's say, who is in an emotional state right now? You are. And how are you reacting to this emotion? With logic. And how should you react to emotion? With emotion. And the same type of emotion or the opposite? Yeah, the opposite. So what emotion am I feeling now? Well, you're upset at me. So what's the opposite of being upset? What could you do to simply take my upsetness away? A hug? Yes. And now, alhamdulillah, the whole upsetness is gone from the hug. So, the hug, yes. It's real. It's real, yes. It is real. It is real. So it is real. It's not real for the person who doesn't understand the difference between emotion and logic, but for the one who knows the difference, that person, even being in an emotional state, was still able to use logic. So this is there they are in the slides. So in the slides they made the female the one that was emotional, intelligent. It doesn't matter, but in the reality. So spouse 1 was trying to be logic, or was trying to argue with logic. But spouse 2 was emotional. They were upset about something. They were angry and hurt. So spouse 1 responded with a positive emotional response, and everything, the argument was diffused, it was gone, it was minimized. If spouse 1 responded with logic only, and spouse 2 is upset at something, They're not going to say logical things. They're going to say, the spouse one might say, can I have this? And the other person will say, no, you can't. Even though they can have it, it's an easy thing. But they're just saying no because they're angry. So then spouse one starts arguing with logic, oh, but why can't I have this? You said I could have it. Spouse one is just angry, that's why they're saying no. So when someone is emotional and one is logical, which one wins? You tell me. Emotion always wins. Look at the slides. Emotion always wins. And what about logic versus logic? Both people are logical, none is emotional. The better logic wins. So, and in Islam, this is allowed when two people argue. Arguments are on the condition that both are willing to accept the other's idea, the other's concept. Both have to be willing to accept the other's idea. Otherwise, it's a negative type of argument. Okay? So if one of them is just there thinking that I'm the one that's right, you have to be open-minded. So the better logic wins. The one that's better logic. If your heart accepts it, you should accept it. Because the heart, you don't deny the truth. So the better logic wins. And what about a positive emotion against negative emotion? What happens then? Neutral. Well, that's where you become happy. So that's where neutral happens. There's a happiness because there's no... The negative emotion, the positive one, both balance each other out. And you have a state of neutral happiness. That's what they want. They want to be neutral. They want to be back to logical mind. You can't be emotional every single day of your life or all the time. They want to be back to neutral. So if the other person is emotional, you have to be the opposite emotion. When the Holy Prophet, when people used to be angry, he would quieten down. His tone of voice would go lower and lower and lower. Theirs going higher, he's going lower. If they're speaking so much, the sign to tell them to stop talking is just to be quiet. So do the opposite of what they're doing. If they're upset and so on, no need to fight them with logic. Just give them a hug, just help them do something. And it takes it all away. So you have to respond to emotion with emotion, not with logic. And that's a higher level of understanding. If you can do that, you can live a happy life. If a person can't do that, the emotions will damage them up roller coaster, up and down their whole life. Many people get divorced because they can't understand this. So there's the summary of it, inshallah. But this even applies in your spiritual journey. Because many of these things that you're seeing spiritually, are they logical? Are they logical? Normal logic, it doesn't make sense to you. But the better logic wins. The better logic is the logic of the Mashayikh, the logic of Allah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You just submit to that. It doesn't matter what I know. I just ignore what I know and I just submit. And that's the better logic. So the better logic wins. If you're emotional, then the opposite emotion. If in one person's case, they experienced the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was admonishing them. They were telling them, the last retreat, that I love you so much, I love the Ummah, what have you done for me? I love you. I loved you before you were born in the world of spirits. I loved you all your life here and I still love you in hereafter. What love have you shown to me? This was said to him. So the opposite of emotion there would be that. So here one is love is being shown, but what should his emotion, what should he show? This particular, should he just run away and disappear? Because that's what maybe a person did at the time. What should he have done? And this is in the spiritual world we're talking about. This in the spiritual world. No one? I'll tell you then. What he should have done is humbled himself and lowered himself. That, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that I have not fulfilled your rights as you deserve. Please forgive me and I will do everything in my utmost power to rectify this. And be humble and humble himself. So you don't say, I love you as well and make the claims of love. That's not the time to say that. That was the time to lower oneself. So do you see, one emotion and a different emotion will balance it out. Then the Prophet ﷺ may have said to him that, it's okay, my child, you are learning, and so on. So even in the spiritual world, emotions will go there with you. This is why this is important. And know and learn how to handle them. I'm going to mention these 4 to you because it's the first time these last 4 are going to be mentioned, or first time they're being mentioned, and they're very quick, but they're very powerful. So the 4th one is this. If you're emotionally upset with someone, temporarily just leave the person who is the object of your emotion, just temporarily, and go to the person who can take you into a different state. Everyone in our lives, all of us have someone that when we're with them, our emotional state changes. We become happy. That's who your best friend is. Your best friend, you see, it's a selfish friendship that I like something about them, or I like how I feel when I'm with them. That's why I'm their friend. I'm not the friend because of them. I'm the friend with them because of me, because of something I get from being in their company. Selfish. The awliya and the friends of Allah and the Prophet ﷺ is the most selfless love. They don't get anything in return. They don't get a nice feeling or emotion when they're with you, and that's why they keep you with them. They're selfless. But anyway, we're talking about friends. So if the object of your emotion, let's say the partner, makes you upset, go to someone else, leave them for a short while, go to someone else who can change your state. But there's a condition. You must not speak about the incident. If you speak about that incident, guess what you've done? Brought them with you. You've brought the person who you're emotional against, they're with you in that situation. So it's not going to take it away. You must not speak about the incident, otherwise you've not left them. What you need to do instead is speak to your friend about him or her, whoever they are. Ask them, tell me about your life, tell me about your day, what did you get up to? And just that conversation can take away your pain that you're feeling. Just refocusing on someone else and their life and what they're going through. Make sense? Simple, very quick one, but it's a temporary fix. It's not a permanent fix. Because if that is close, I'm going to go through these. Number 5 is this one. This is a permanent one. This is a permanent solution. And this is in that one sentence. Form a completely different relationship to the current one. Completely. I will explain it. A completely different relationship to the current one. So, if you have, many of us here are like, as they say, Pirbhai or Tariq brothers and so on. Spiritual brothers, you could say, or spiritual sisters or sisters. If you have a negative relationship with anyone, all you need to do is have a different relationship outside where maybe you're the shopkeeper and they're the customer. Maybe you're the customer and they're the shopkeeper. Maybe you're a business partner and you're showing them something. Maybe you develop a friendship outside, or maybe you give them a gift outside, nothing to do with this, nothing to do with this situation. A different relationship, nothing to do with the one that exists right now. If you do that, that one has to be positive. You make that positive. That positive relationship will naturally push the negative past programming that you have inside you out. It will go. Before you know it, you'll think, I had a problem with this person, but it's all gone. I feel fine with them now. Because you formed a new relationship. And that new relationship is positive, is taking this one away, the negative one. Make sense? And there are many different types of relationships. Husband and wife can't be for everyone. So friends, business, customer, purchase, someone that you're buying something off, all sorts, inshallah. It could even be advisor, it could be counselor, it could be that you're working with them in their work environment, and so on. The 6th one is this. Write down your state every hour for 7 days. Every hour you will just write down at 6 o'clock what emotion you went through. I felt sad, I felt happy, I felt ecstasy, I felt unhappy. You just write them down. What that's doing every hour for 7 days, other than when you're sleeping, what that is doing is making you emotionally conscious of yourself. If you become emotionally conscious of yourself, then only then can you be patient and think about the right reactions and the wrong reactions. And the 3rd step, choose the right reaction. If you're not even aware what emotion you're in, how can you do any of them? So that one really is one of the first for anyone who wants to be emotionally conscious. And the last one is this, very powerful one. It relates to the addictions. And we teach an addiction workshop as well. This will be in there, inshallah. Now, some people, this is important to understand, some people, they are not addicted. So there are many sins, alcohol, music, pornography, and many other things. Everyone's addicted to something slightly different. Some are addicted to tea. That's a good addiction. Some are addicted to other things. So some people, they're not addicted to these types of sins. They think they are, but they're not. Addiction is where you do it all the time, regardless. You do it very frequently, and it's something that's pulling you to it. You're being pulled to it. Even you're just in your normal situation, scenario, no emotional state, you're just being pulled to it. Something's calling you, like the cigarette. It's just calling you all the time. So these people, sometimes they're not addicted, but when do they do it? They turn to addictive sins when? I'll tell you. When they are possessed by certain emotions, and it's always emotions that they dislike. What emotions are they? Misery, the feeling of being lost, the feeling of despair, you've lost hope, the feeling of depression. When these are not feelings that are nice, no one likes them. When they experience the bad feeling, they're not really bad, they're just not nice feelings. The reason I say they're not bad is there's a right reaction to them. If you have a right reaction, it takes you close to Allah. There is no good or bad feeling. It's all how you react. But these feelings are not happy feelings. They are difficult, torturous feelings. When they are in the person, then the person turns to the drug, turns to that addictive sin, so that that addiction can take away this negative feeling. That drug might give them a sense of joy, happiness, pleasure, temporary. They only go to it when they're feeling unhappy or misery or so on. Does that make sense? They're not addicted. What they need to do is they need to realize that's when they turn to it. That's the first solution. You only turn to that sin, that drug, when you are unhappy. So recognize the next time you're unhappy, that's when you're likely to fall into it. If this is you, you are not addicted. You only need to do this when this drug and replace it with a better drug. So you need to replace it with a better drug. What is the better drug? There are many better drugs, but the best drug, other than tea, is you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And like I said, the love of Allah and the crying in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such an ecstasy that you would never have experienced anything better in this world. So, but in a simple form, when the person is unhappy, misery, depressed, they need to first say that, I am unhappy right now. Step number 1, recognize what emotion you're in. Step number 2, this person will recognize, this is when I go to that sin to make me feel happy. Then, step number 3, now they know that I need to avoid it. So, inshallah, is it time? 2 minutes? So on that note, I will finish. And if anyone wants to ask any questions, then maybe another session or throughout the nights in the remaining days, inshallah, I'll be here. Jazakallah, and please forgive me if I've said anything wrong, and may Allah subhanahu reward you and accept you. Make dua for us during your fast break. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta
Bismillah.